When talking about my group's business model, the business model shifted immensely during the course of this semester. For example, my initial idea was to create a product or service that assisted people who are afraid to cook, or in other words, people who are beginner cooks. So when it comes to the customers or the interviewees' emotions, it led me down a path that changed my way of thinking for my business model. I thought to myself, what if there was an app or some kind of video series that gets people excited about cooking easy, simple recipes? Because that not only eliminates the non-motivation to cook, but also the foresight of not having to cook something so complicated. The day that I realized that was also the day that I had to choose a group that wasn't mine. So I chose the Car Shoppers group. This is the day that my business model changed completely. Our group's goal was to create an idea that makes it more convenient for car shoppers to shop for cars how they want to. Logan and I were able to create a website and get some feedback from some potential customers. Most of the feedback was on confusion in the pricing systems, and we put that outcome on people not knowing our product well enough, or just not knowing what they were looking at when it came to our idea. So for our final business model canvas, or the sixth one, our key partners were car dealerships. Our key activities were searching for cars based on customer request, key resources being our website, some sort of app, platform, a car database. Our cost structure were one-time payments. Now for the value proposition, some problems that we wanted to fix were when shopping for cars, customers would feel overwhelmed because of all the potential options. Another problem being when shopping for cars, customers feel frustrated while dealing with car salesmen. So it would be our job to get rid of that. Our customer relationship would be to communicate about the process of finding a car. Some channels that we would use: Facebook for marketing, obviously car dealerships, and people who recently purchased cars. And of course, our customer segment are car shoppers. So our main idea was just to make it more convenient for people to find cars and make it more convenient to not have to go through a car salesman. Our revenue streams would be based off of customers who pay us to find cars for them.
I will be covering the customer emotions and the role experimentation played in changing our business model and what we would have done differently to ultimately lead to a better final product. As far as emotions go, we really believe that to be an entrepreneur, you have to be able to put your own emotions aside and really tap into the customer's emotion and be willing to change what you're doing and just not think that it's either your way or nothing, and just get information from them and figure out how you can change your product in order to better serve the customer. And for us, one of our biggest things was, like Logan talked about, just the pricing system that we were using. We originally started with a pretty complex system where it would be like different amounts of money towards how many cars that we would research and find for them. And after consulting with different customers, we found out that their emotions towards that was just confusion, and it kind of just turned them off to the product in general because they weren't willing to just try to figure it out. So we ended up listening to what our consumers' emotions were saying, and we made it a lot more simple, and we explained our product more because we felt as though if we explained our product, then our pricing system would make more sense. And we also made the pricing system more just direct and not any complications to it. A lot like emotions, we felt that experimentation is super important to figuring out your product and learning what works and what doesn't. And for us, we would have our potential customers look over our website and just give us feedback. And we would also interview them and just like try to experiment with our product, see how they liked it, see what they would change, and see what they would do differently. And this also impacted our pricing and what we're doing with that. And we also found out that our idea needs a lot of explaining. So we figured out that our website had to have multiple details and video that would explain what we were doing. And then the rest of the process would make more sense to people. As far as how we would utilize customer emotions and experimentation differently the next time if we were to test a business model, I think the biggest thing is we would start trusting the customer emotions in our experiments more so at the beginning. I feel like at the beginning of our process, we were kind of reluctant to do so because in our heads, we thought we had a great idea and we were committed to that idea, not necessarily willing to change. But once we started trusting what the consumers were telling us, we ultimately started to create a more beneficial product to the consumers and receive more positive feedback in general. So I think it would just be beneficial to just start trusting what the consumers are saying, because ultimately they're the ones that are going to be deciding how they spend their money, and they're going to be the ones deciding what drives our business and not us. So really we just need to tap into that earlier if we were to do this again. And that pretty much sums up how our business model changed and how emotions and experimentation played into our process and what we would have done differently. And we learned a lot through this process, and we look forward to using that information soon.